Akiko was a normal girl. She lived in a small town. One day she was walking in the woods. She saw something strange. It was a gate made of stone. The gate glowed with a soft light. Akiko felt drawn to it. She reached out to touch it. As she touched the gate, it opened. A bright light poured out. Akiko closed her eyes. When she opened them, she was in a new world. Akiko looked around in amazement. The world was full of color. Strange and beautiful flowers bloomed everywhere. The trees sparkled with magical lights. The air was filled with the sound of music. It was like a dream. Akiko saw a path. She decided to follow it. She wanted to see more of this amazing world. She felt a little scared but also excited. As Akiko walked, she saw many amazing things. Tiny winged creatures fluttered around her. Waterfalls flowed upwards. She saw a giant turtle with a city on its back. Akiko couldn't believe her eyes. Everything was so magical. Akiko realized she wasn't in her world anymore. This was a place where anything was possible. She smiled. She was ready for an adventure. Akiko entered a forest. The trees were tall and old. They whispered to each other in the wind. Akiko listened closely. The trees were talking. They spoke of ancient magic and forgotten legends. They told stories of brave heroes and fearsome creatures. Akiko learned about the balance of nature. She learned about the importance of kindness and courage. The forest was her teacher. Akiko came to a dark and scary part of the forest. The trees were bare and twisted. The air was cold and still. Suddenly, a group of small, shadowy creatures surrounded her. They hissed and growled, their eyes glowing red in the darkness. Akiko was afraid, but she remembered the lessons of the forest. She took a deep breath and stood her ground. She showed courage. Section 6. Kindness to strangers. The creatures sensed Akiko's bravery. They stopped growling and looked at her curiously. One of them held out a small glowing flower. Akiko realized they were not trying to hurt her. They were just scared and alone. She smiled gently and took the flower. Akiko's kindness touched the creatures. They led her out of the darkness and back to the safety of the bright forest. Section 7. Farewell Fantasy. Akiko knew it was time to go home. She had learned so much in this magical world. She had faced her fears and shown kindness. She found the glowing gate. It was time to say goodbye. She took one last look at the beautiful world. Akiko knew she would never forget her adventure. She had made new friends and discovered a strength within herself. Section 8. Back to reality. Akiko stepped back through the gate. The light faded. She was back in her own world. The forest looked familiar again, but Akiko was different. She carried the magic of her journey in her heart. She knew the world was full of wonder. Akiko looked at the ordinary trees. She could almost hear them whispering. She knew that even in her world, magic could be found. Section 9. A changed heart. Akiko returned to her life, but she never forgot the fantasy world. She was kinder to animals and more aware of nature. She told her friends about her adventure. They thought she was making it up, but Akiko knew the truth. Akiko had changed. She had found courage and kindness in a magical world, and she brought that magic back with her.